This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So how much is TNA allowing you to have a say in creative at this point then? Because you just said, like, you just laid it out for me in a way that I understand the character motivation. Did you have a say in how this story was playing out?
I had some say. I mean, you know, I had a good relationship with Vince Russo, and we worked on a lot of stuff together. The thing is, I didn't really involve myself in that stuff. You know, the whole thing was, things got a little crazy at times, because when the writers would write something, the day of the show, the office or the wrestlers would change it, and it ended up being something that it wasn't meant to be, and it wouldn't make sense. And I didn't think that was a good move for the company. I thought they could stick with what the writing was and not change the stuff at the last second. And if you want to change it, you should do it the week prior, so you have time to make sure it makes sense the day of the show.
Sure.
That's where I got involved in the creative and tried to voice my opinion on how they should do it. And you know, a lot of times things didn't make sense. It's because they changed it the day of the show.
Was it like that in WWE before you went there, where there were a lot of changes being made to the show? Nowadays, we know in WWE, the Raw script doesn't get finalized until an hour into the show sometimes. But back then, was it like that too? And how did that influence what you just said about your Impact run?
Well, you know, in WWE, they had a million writers.
Right.
So they could do it at the last second and still make it make sense. But in TNA, we only had a couple writers. And
Sure.
once things got changed, you know, they couldn't really come up with stuff they didn't have enough manpower to be able to change it to make it make sense. So they just said, okay, let's do this. Let's just go with it. And that's what we did.
Well, it seems something is working regardless, because at this time, Impact sets an all-time record with a 1.19 rating and 1.4 million viewers. What do you credit to that? Because 1.4 million viewers, a show like AEW Dynamite or NXT would love to be punching those numbers these days.
Well, it was great. I didn't want to take credit for it, because, you know, even though I was the one that entered the company, and a couple months later, you know, we were doing these ratings, but it was a team effort. You know, the whole company shared in this, and I didn't want to just take the credit myself. I thought that everybody did a great job, and that's why we got the rating we did.
I want to shout this out. You actually wrestle at a show in Portugal in front of 5,000 fans in what at the time was the most fans for a TNA show ever. You wrestled during the main event. You win clean with an ankle lock. Now, keep in mind, this is coming off working in the Impact Zone, where it's a much more limited crowd. 5,000 fans, I'd assume that that's probably up to par with the WWE house show around the time. Did it feel like you were at home working in front of a crowd like that again?
Yes, it did. And it was a great shot in the arm for all the talent, the TNA talent, because it showed them what it could be like in the future. If we work hard and we're successful, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get rewarded with a full arena. And I think that was a confidence booster for the wrestlers.
Did you notice any intimidation from any of the wrestlers? Because I'd imagine for some of them, that was probably the biggest crowd they've worked up in front of to that point.
No, I didn't hear of any intimidation, but I'm sure that some of them were a little bit nervous and scared. I don't blame them, because it was a pretty big crowd. I mean, it was a full arena at that particular time in Portugal.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.